Hello, I'm Morteza Kordi, and in this tutorial, we are going to learn about casting in programming. So what is casting? A cast is a way of explicitly informing the compiler that you intend to make the converting data type, and that you are aware that data loss might occur. I'll talk more about data loss later. So why casting? Why we use casting in programming? Casting simply allows you to convert an object of a particular data type and turning it into another object type. What is upcasting? Upcasting simply means casting to a supertype or superclass. So now let me give you an example, a real world example. Assume that we have a variable and the name of this variable is my computer. And the data type of this variable is computer X, right? For example, here I am explicitly specifying that this variable expects a value of type computer X. And here we are assigning an object of type Nexus. So we all know that Nexus is actually a computer. So there is an is-or relationship between Nexus and computer. Nexus is a computer. So Nexus can actually inherit from the computer class. So here this is called upcasting. We are actually creating an object of type Nexus, but we are assigning this object to a variable that expects an object of type computer. So this means that the Nexus is actually upcasted to a supertype. We are converting the data type of an object that is of type subclass to another type, which is of type actually superclass, the superclass type. So notice that the upcasting automatically occurs. We don't have to do anything. We just create the object and we assign it to this variable of type computer X, which is its name is my computer. So now let me actually show you what is downcasting. So downcasting simply means casting to a subclass. So now let me give you a real world example. So now assume that we have a variable, its name is myNexus, and this variable expects an object of type Nexus, okay? And here we are assigning an object of type computer X to this variable, but here it's gonna actually give us, the compiler is going to complain because it cannot be actually it's not possible to assign an object of type computer X, which is of type superclass, to actually a variable which expects of an object of type Nexus, which is of type subclass. The compiler is going to complain. So here we are trying to downcast the computer X object to a subclass type, which is actually Nexus. So here we are saying computer X as Nexus. We are downcasting the computer X to an object of type subclass Nexus. So now, if we run the application, our application is going to crash. We are going to wind up with a runtime exception. And let me tell you that downcasting doesn't automatically occur. We have to downcast it actually explicitly. We have to say that we have a computer object and we are downcasting it by saying as Nexus. In other words, downcasting is a little risky. We may actually wind up with runtime exceptions and our application is going to crash because we are actually downcasting an object of type superclass to an object of type subclass. It's a little risky. So now let me actually show you some practical examples in the IntelliJ IDEA IDE, and then it will completely make sense. So here it is my Kotlin file, and here we can see that I actually changed the theme of my IDE to Darkula So in order to change the theme of your IDE, you just need to actually click on IntelliJ IDEA IDE at the top and then click on Preferences. If you are using a Windows machine, you need to click on File and then click on Settings or Preferences. So let's click on IntelliJ IDEA and then click on Preferences here. And now I want to actually change the theme of my IDE. So at the top here, you can see this option here. It says Appearance and Behavior. So just click on it and then click on this appearance, and now it says theme. So we can actually change the theme to Darkula if you want, and then you just need to click on apply. And then if you want to increase the font size, here the font size of these texts, actually the font size of the codes that you write inside your IDE, you just need to actually click on editor, and here we have font. Click on it. So here you can see this size here. You can change the size if you want. You can change the line spacing. You can also change the font. So when you actually changed these settings, when you actually set up your IDE as you want, you just need to click on apply and then click on OK. So let's go back to actually casting. So here you can see that we have a class called ComputerX. This class is actually an open class. This means that other classes can inherit from this class and access all of the features and behaviors of this class. So now this class only has an instance variable var computer name of type string, and we assigned the value Nexus to this variable. And here we have another class called Nexus, and this class inherits from the ComputerX class. So the reason that I actually chose this name ComputerX is that inside my project and inside other Kotlin files, I have another class called computer. So we are not allowed to actually redeclare a class with the same name, because it's not actually allowed to create two classes with the same name. So I actually chose this name ComputerX. So here, anyway, we have a Nexus class that inherits from this ComputerX class. So now we know that the Nexus is our ComputerX. There is an is-or relationship between these two classes. So now let's go inside this main function, the starting point of our application. First of all, I want to give you an example about upcasting. Here we have a variable called myComputer, and this variable here, I explicitly specified that the data type of this variable is ComputerX. This means that this variable only accepts an object of type ComputerX. And here we put an assignment operator, and instead we assigned an object of type Nexus class. So that is possible, that is actually legal. Why? Because Nexus is a ComputerX. There is an is-or relationship between Nexus and ComputerX. So we can assign an object of type Nexus to a variable that expects an object of type ComputerX. So take a look at this comment that I put here. Upcasting dash automatically occurs. We don't have to do anything. So here I actually just put this println statement, myComputer.computer name. Let's run the app here. Here I want to show you that it's going to actually output the computer name to the console. So now in the console you can see that it actually put a Nexus here into the console. So now let's take a look at line number 6. This is very important. Var myNexus, the name of this variable is myNexus, and this variable only accepts an object of type Nexus. I explicitly specified the data type of this variable. And I assigned an object of type superclass, ComputerX, right? The ComputerX is actually the superclass of the Nexus, the class that the Nexus actually inherits from. This class is the superclass. And I said, so let's actually delete this as Nexus here, because I want to show you that now the compiler is going to complain. And if I hover over this error area, it says type mismatch, required Nexus, found ComputerX. The compiler doesn't accept this. The compiler doesn't like that we actually assign an object of type ComputerX to a variable that accepts only an object of type Nexus. It is not possible. So in order to solve this problem, we say as Nexus in order to actually downcast our object to a subclass. So this means that computer X object is now downcasted to an object of type Nexus. So the downcasting is actually occurred here, and downcasting doesn't automatically occur, as you know. So now, if I run the app, our application is going to crash. Let me show you the error. It says exception in thread main java.lang.class cast exception. We have a specific exception for this type of error. Class cast exception. Computer X cannot be cast to Nexus. We cannot cast computer X to a subclass. So that's why it actually thrown an exception. It's a runtime exception. And if we were to run this app on an actual Android device, you may see that it's going to actually just crash the app, and you may wind up with a runtime error, and it's going to just stop the app. So that's why downcasting is a little risky, and I'll talk more about downcasting later in this course, that how you can prevent these types of exceptions so that you can actually easily downcast if you want without winding up with runtime errors. So that's it. If you have any questions about casting, upcasting, or downcasting, please post a discussion in the course, and then I do my best to answer all of your questions. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.